All right, welcome to Shop Night Live. It is a very special night, not just because of our special guest, David Lamb, but we have with us a live studio audience. Yay! Actually, that live studio audience has been here all week, and they have been working on this exquisite settee project with David Lamb. And Dave and I were talking about what would be a good topic for tonight. And last time we profiled some of David's work and looked at some incredible photos. So if you want to know more about the background, check out that previous episode. It's chock full of amazing inspirational photos. But this time we wanted to do a little deeper dive into an important, sometimes overlooked decorative detail that can really make or break a piece of furniture. One of the things that we think about a lot in furniture are these transitional elements. Think about a molding between an uppercase or a lowercase, or maybe a lamb's tongue detail on a pencil post bed. Those are sort of run-of-the-mill. You see them a lot. But one of the things that really intrigues me about David's work, and I think he's way up here in his use of transitional elements. So I thought, why not have you talk a little bit about transitional elements in your work, why you choose them, how you come about, and why this course is even focused on a very interesting transitional element.
The course is focused on this element, but in order to get to that element, the guys have to build the whole piece, which is, I want to point out, virtually all hand built, except for the mortising and tenoning. All the shaping of the legs was done once cut on the bandsaw. All the tapering is done with a hand plane. All the octagonal shaping is done with the spoke shave and chisel, and these guys have really been put through their paces. It's a lot of good repetition, and that's the best way to, I feel, to learn how to handle your hand tools. And then once all that preliminary shaping is done, then we get into these very simple carved details, which, how many did we figure we had? 64 individual little aspects between all four legs. So there's a lot of good practice and way to develop your technique. Transitional details are a great way to personalize a piece, and but there is a real important function. These details are the transition from, say, square to octagon, or square to a turned leg or post. And they bring the eye, they lead the eye from one element into the next element. So it's more than just a detail, it's got a function. Let's see, I don't know if Chris, if you can get these. This is a similar table leg, but this would have the addition of an inset bead that goes around, and that just kind of isolates it a little bit, which adds a whole other layer of detail, which is fun. Here's one that, excuse me, goes a little bit further. You go from an octagon to a partially turned element with a bead, and then the leaf shape is developed into a more detailed aspect, and then going up into square. And then, of course, square to turn. And the interesting thing about this, I kind of fell into this because I was designing or doing a project and was looking at, just the very early stages of turning a leg. And you always start with a square when you're turning a leg. And it's that simple gouge motion just to go down there. And I'm looking at these shapes. These like triangular shapes here on the flat, and triangular but different shapes on the turn part, and I kept, turning that over my head and found that, that's a perfect place to do something. And so this really shows that if you flatten this a little bit, you just tweak it a little bit, you pretty much got your elemental form right there. So it's just a matter of developing it and emphasizing these edges, and it's a perfect place for a simple leaf, which this kind of thing is. And it's pretty easy to do too. It does take practice. I'm thinking I'm going to do a little demo and show you how to do it, but maybe we want to look at a couple of pictures first. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, because I think you had some, other than carved transitions, that are interesting, right? I mean, some variety.
Well, these are mostly along the lines of what we're talking about, but
that shape.
We can talk about what we see. So,
yeah.
So here's a little table. It's about a 3-foot diameter center table. But the real transition comes in at the leg, the next picture. So there you go. And that, of course, that's a huge transition, just because even though it's a cylindrical top to the leg, the fact that it's intersecting with a concave apron changes the shape of that cylinder. And that just kind of emphasizes the veneer pattern that's in the apron, and also the very simple transitional turned element on the leg itself. So this one doesn't have carving in it, but just utilizes turning to do that transition. The next picture shows a little more complex piece. This is a demi-lune, along the same lines as the previous table. But if we go to the detail, and we can zoom in a little bit on that, there is the same kind of element. This one also introduces some light decorative carving at the top of the leg just before the transition. And then finally, I wanted to show this settee, which was kind of the impetus for the idea of this settee that we're working on in class. It's really interesting because the lower part of the leg is turned, then you come to the square where the framing comes in, and then the upper part of the leg supports the armrest. The upper part is square in section. The lower part is turned. And you have the very similar kind of leaf detail. Even though they're very similar, they're very different in the way they're handled. There you go. Can you see that the leaves on the lower part
into the round,
and then also in the upper part into the square. So it's just a little variation from one to the other, but it helps tie everything together. The turned element to the square element with a nice little detail in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, as you saw that veneer work on that table aprons, it's got that same kind of very simple leaf shape pattern that's just repeated in the carving, in the shape of the bracing that were between the legs. It just goes on and on without being too repetitive. It's just the same theme being reinterpreted in a number of different ways.
This is not our first rodeo with this topic, because David, back in the classic woodworking days, that PBS show, David was the guest on episode 10. You can actually catch that on Fine Woodworking's website. They have all the programs there. If you're a member there, you can go and watch the video. Or if you're on Amazon Prime and you want to see this episode, it was really a fun project because David and I actually made this table on that episode. And it was a really enjoyable project. I mean, it involved turning and putting on this walnut foot onto this butternut leg. And this is all butternut. We were really interested in featuring the combination of butternut and walnut because butternut is often referred to as the white walnut because of the very similar texture and figure, but it's got a nice golden, beautiful color. So in doing that, we came up with the question, well, let's just make this a nice table that we could do in 25 minutes. And let's have one of those sweet transitions. What do you have for this? And David presented this idea, and this was just perfect for that episode. So on that episode, he goes into carving this as well. And then we put in this walnut bead around here. So this was a lot of fun, and I think it really showcased your artfulness with this type of thing. And I love what you said about how it leads the eye, you know, from the turn element up into the square, but it's in itself, it's this beautiful feature. So there's a lot going on with these
It takes
elements.
a fairly simple table and just kind of dresses it up a little bit, you know, without being too much.
Yeah, for sure. So were you going to show us something on that?
Yeah, I think I can. Actually, Tom,
You don't have to do the whole thing.
we've got leftover legs from that project.
What do you know?
What do
I
you
bet
know?
you one of these, I just hung on to it in case I needed it.
So this is the shape off the lathe, and this whole section gets brought down. I just basically flatten it from this line, this point, down to the bead, and that's what this side shows. And just do that with a rasp or a file from here to there. And then from this point, I'm basically just outlining the shape that's left over. It's almost self-explanatory. And then I just do this as an opposing line, just a curve. So this becomes a secondary leaf between the primary leaves. So I am going to attempt to do, before a live studio audience and TV land, this little carving.
And it doesn't take super sophisticated, expensive tools.
Well, no, I mean I've got 3 tools right here plus a knife, and we should be able to do all of it with that.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
This has a good grab in the middle.
There. So I'm going to be moving around Chris a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just,
She's an expert.
yeah,
She's the camera lady after all.
she's well versed. So I'm just going to knife this.
Very nice.
Yeah,
it's
just-
almost like you've been doing that all day.
Well, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to do the other side.
That's all it is. It's like a utility knife. You can do
I'm
that.
just using a utility knife, and I could use a more formal knife, I suppose, but this works just fine because
Yeah, I see why, yeah.
when the knife gets dull, what do? You change it.
Yeah.
You don't have to sharpen it.
No, that's good.
And then I'm going to do this. And my first step is to remove these little triangles.
Okay.
So I'm going to have this in case I need it. And I'm going to go like this.
Just when these guys in the class thought they had this figured out, you're introducing a new form.
So yeah, get them to come back for more.
So that's it. You're just sort
that's-
of relief carving?
Yeah, I'm just popping out these little triangles just to make some contrast. It's all about the shadow. That's the thing about carving. I think the shadows are as important as the shape that you're carving, because you won't be able to see the shape unless you have contrast, and that's done with shadows. So And then do the other one. So
Beautiful.
that's that.
Wow, just
Yeah.
that really sets it off.
And then once you get that all squared away, I mean, these could be a little bit deeper, but the next step would be, maybe I'll go back to this gouge, would be to take this leaf and just pitch it a little bit. So you're, in a way, you're creating two halves. So it'd be a little bit of a vein down the middle, just by virtue of the raised edge.
It looks so easy.
Well, yeah, it is.
We're all like, I'm going to do that as soon as this ends.
So that's it in a nutshell. But like I said, ultimately it's a little deeper. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, there's one edge.
So
there
there's
you
one
go.
done, and then you could put just with a V gouge, create a sort of a negative vein. But yeah, it's a very effective, very simple.
That's it. That's
process.
awesome.
Yeah.
So you go from that to that to that. And it's just a few sweeps. And what I love about this carving is you're naturally going with the grain.
Yeah.
Because you're sweeping down the cove cut.
Down and into it.
So it's a great, I mean, it's
Butternut's a nice piece of wood to carve too.
Yeah.
It holds detail, but it's soft enough.
yeah, it's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
It's bringing back memories, Dave.
Yeah, with fond memories.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun. It was a fun project.
And so this leg now, this is how very similar in a way to that.
Yep,
right?
very similar, very simple. I thought for the purpose of the class, it would be better to avoid all the shaping at this point, but just learn about excavating, in a simple way. It's still that downhill thing. And then every once in a while you get a piece of wood that the grain goes contrary and it comes up the other way, and you just work your way through it carefully. But again, knife cuts, both sides. And in this case, instead of just going straight down, because it would be easy to get the corner of the gouge under the edge of the leaf, we would kind of roll the gouge like that and do a shearing cut into sort of a diagonal cut into the side. And so the texture that you get from the carving tool provides a nice contrast with these smoother surfaces.
Yeah.
And I want to point out, this is right off the tool. This is a chisel and a spoke shave, and there's no scraping or sanding on that yet.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that shadow, the idea of shadow, it just sets it off so elegantly.
Yeah.
Well, this is the exquisite settee class. It should be elegant. And then look at that one.
You can do matching table, companion table.
I mean, it's such a nice little thing, but it launches it from good to masterpiece,
There you go.
right? The question was, on this walnut table, how did we get this walnut line in? Well, you're going to have to go watch episode 10 of Classic Woodworking. No, actually, we don't get anything for that. But it is fun to watch that, because I remember that moment. I think I
Yeah.
had to do that part.
Yeah, I let you do that.
Yeah, thanks. We shared parts on this table in that
Yeah.
episode. But we joined the table and flushed up the legs with the rails, so it got glued up. The entire table was glued up. All of the carving was done, the turning, the foot caps were put on. We had a lot invested in this table base. And then we brought it to the table saw, and we laid it on its side and set the fence to this distance and ripped it all around. So we made sure it was flush around the top as well. And
A shallow cut. A shallow
A
cut.
shallow cut, yeah. We didn't rip it apart. No, we went, I don't know, maybe an eighth of an inch deep.
Yeah.
And then we had prepared also and showed how to make this bead and mitered it by hand and just popped it right
it
in
in,
there
yeah.
with a little glue.
Just like that.
But it made a very cool decorative element. It brought a little of the walnut below the top, you know, between the foot and here, and it gave another little visual connection to the top and acted as an interesting little bead. Really sets off.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions. Lupe is asking what kind of wood you're using on the settee.
Cherry. Yeah. Kentucky cherry, right, Tom?
That's what they told me. It came from Kentucky. It's really nice texture. Some of it's got some wavy figure, so it's a little disagreeable in that way, but the price you pay for the challenge in working it pays off later because it looks awesome. Like that kind of figured wood will pay off in the end.
For the most part, the leg stock was great for the carving. There were just a couple little, every
Yeah.
once in a while, a little challenging spot, but it was nice. Cherry's a nice material.
Yeah, and then you're going to shape these arms too. I know there's a little off our transition topic, but
Yeah.
is that,
Yeah, these are.
they're on there nice. Sorry, I don't want to break it. Beautiful. Look at that nice little undercut to lighten up that edge. You just made that up.
Yeah, yeah. Freehand bandsaw and carve it off.
Yeah, look at that, nicely. And how did you shape this? Because this was just flat initially.
Yeah, it was like this. This is what we start with.
So you draw the profile.
So
on
I
the
draw
end.
the profile, I do a couple of angled rip cuts,
Yep.
and then put it on the bench and take my number 4 Bailey and
Just create the nice
Just-
round over.
yep.
See that?
just like that.
You don't need to go buy no shaper bit like that. You got it right in your flat planes.
That's right.
Just rip a miter or a bevel and you got it right there.
So Daniel's asking, David, have
Yeah.
you written any books about your techniques?
No, not yet anyway. I've written articles, a lot of articles, but mostly for the Guild of New Hampshire Woodworkers. But
Your work is your book.
yeah, my work is my book.
You can go.
Maybe someday. I look forward to writing something someday. I don't know what it would be, but
You can go study his handmade books in the Courier Museum of Art. If you weren't here for the last time, go check that out.
Tony's asking what were the dimensions of the gouges you were using?
okay. This is 5/16. That's 3/8. Pretty much what we guessed.
And
So
fairly flat.
fairly flat,
cove.
but
yeah.
you want a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of a dish, and that really helps develop the texture.
Yeah. I like how you have that texture in here. And do you just leave that?
Yeah, I leave that, and I think it adds a lot. I
Yeah,
think it-
contrasts with the nice smooth finish you have on the these
Yeah.
like Gothic arches almost they
yeah,
look like.
yeah, very much. Yeah.
Good segue, Glenn's asking, can you show about sanding the carved area?
Well, if I did any sanding, it would just be on the flats, and I might, what I call, kill the edges. I might just knock the very sharp edge back, because it is pretty fragile.
And a little
Excuse
sharp.
me. And it's a little sharp. So, yeah, it would just take like 220 grit or something, fold it over, and just knock the corner back.
But you'll leave that texture.
But I'll leave all that texture
Can
in
you
the
see
background.
it on the camera? I don't know if it's too bright to see it. Yeah, it's really it's cool because you feel connected with the handmade nature of this and right off the tool.
Right off the tool.
And it contrasts with the smooth surface there. So it gives you another element of contrast to set that off and
Right.
make it come forward even more. Well, I hope you feel the inspiration of these little details. It's funny, these little things can set things off and really bring it up a whole nother level. Thanks so much, Dave, for
Yeah, my pleasure, Tom.
coming
It was-
in.
it was great fun.
You're awesome. We love your work, and we want to just explore more and more of it. So, and thank you for watching. And if you enjoy this content, check out epicwoodworking.com. And of course, like, share, and subscribe. And especially we're grateful for our live studio audience.
Let's hear it.
And a shout out to Terrell, because Terrell told me he loves when I do this next part. On behalf of the camera lady and myself, we look forward to seeing you next time, right back here on Sharp Night Live. Good night, everybody.
That was great.